Welcome to The Critique. So today we're looking at a listener's submission that is, it's a lot.
It is definitely.
It's this dual perspective dive into the American education system built around that stat that 40% of fourth graders can't read.
Which is terrifying.
Absolutely. And it's split. One part is this sociological take on cognitive offloading, and the other is just raw political rage about woke agendas.
Yeah. So let's just get into it. I think the first and biggest hurdle here is the argument's cohesion, or lack of cohesion.
You called it tonal whiplash. That feels about right.
It's a gentle way of putting it. I mean, the piece is trying to make a point about critical thinking, but it completely undermines itself.
Because of the two voices, the two perspectives?
Exactly. You've got the Vanessa perspective, and then you have the Nuxoner perspective.
Okay, let's define those. Vanessa is the teacher on the ground, right? The observational voice.
Yes, precisely. The Vanessa part is calm, it's data-driven. It talks about students who literally can't read their own notes. The chimpanzini banani TikTok brain, it's grounded.
It feels like a report from the front lines.
It does. And then you turn the page, and suddenly you're in a completely different world with Nuxoner.
And the wheels just come off.
Completely. We go from that calm analysis to this aggressive, slur-filled political rant. And look, the core stat, that 40% number, it's consistent in both sections.
Right.
But the Nuxoner part starts throwing around terms like retarded, libtards, and, well, underwater butt sex degrees.
Yeah, I definitely pause when I hit that line. It wakes you up, that's for sure.
It does, but who is it waking you up for?
Well, let me just play devil's advocate for a second. Maybe that's the point. People are angry. Maybe the shock value is a feature, not a bug here.
I get that, I do, and anger is a valid tool, but you have to ask, who is this piece for? The second you use a phrase like that, you instantly lose anyone who isn't already in that specific, very online echo chamber.
You move them from being a concerned reader to a defensive opponent.
In a single sentence, it makes the really solid data in the Vanessa section feel like it was just cherry-picked to serve this hateful narrative.
So the suggestion is what? Tone it down?
It's more than that. I think you need to strip away the ad hominem attacks, the specific inflammatory language, and just isolate the structural argument underneath. You want the reader to be horrified by the facts, not distracted by the narrator's language.
Okay, let's use a concrete example. I was really struck by that Vanessa anecdote about the 8th graders.
The note-taking story?
Yes. The question was, where were the Catholics located? And the answer was right there, in their own notes, in their own handwriting.
And they couldn't find it.
They couldn't find it. They couldn't process the information they had just physically written down.
Which is a really perfect chilling example of cognitive decline. It's not that they're stupid. The connection is just, it's gone.
Right. Now, the Nuxoner section has a related point, that schools exist to control you, but it's buried under a rant about, I think the phrase was, cutting penises off.
That's the disconnect. So to fix this, you pair that Catholic's anecdote directly with the argument that schools are for control, but you do it without the culture war stuff.
So instead of a hard pivot to gender politics,
you pivot to system design. Let the evidence of that incompetence stand on its own as proof the system is broken. You present that moment, and then you say, this is a feature, not a bug. A population that cannot process its own notes is a population that cannot revolt.
That hits so much harder.
Infinitely harder. It elevates the whole thing.
A population that cannot process its own notes is a population that cannot revolt. Wow. Yeah, that sounds like Orwell, not a 4chan post.
Exactly. That's the tone to aim for.
Okay, that makes sense. Let's move on to the second big issue. This one is about the root cause, the why. The piece feels a little messy on this.
It is. It's like the writer is holding two different smoking guns and isn't sure which one to fire. It presents two contradictory root causes for the same problem, and it never really reconciles.
What are the two causes it's struggling?
So, on one hand, source A, the Vanessa side, says it's learned helplessness. It's caused by AI, dopamine addiction from TikTok and Cocomelon. It's a physiological change in the brain.
So the iPhone did it.
The iPhone did it. But then source B, the Nuxoner side, says no, it's a deliberate result of feminized education, immigration lowering IQ averages, and diversity initiatives.
So the woke marb did it?
And the two arguments are just shouting over each other, which is a shame because there's a brilliant comparison in the first section about calculators versus AI.
Oh, yeah, I loved that. Can you break that down? Because it's one of the strongest points in the whole thing.
Right. So the writer points out how teachers used to say you won't always have a calculator in your pocket. Well, now we do, but a calculator only replaces computation.
A rote task.
A rote task. You still have to know the formula. You still have to know what to ask the calculator to do. But AI, especially these LLMs, it replaces thinking. It replaces the formulation of the idea itself.
That's such a profound distinction. AI replaces thinking.
It is, but then the script immediately pivots to complaints about safe spaces or the dad-shaped hole caused by feminism, and that profound technological insight just gets buried in political noise.
Okay, but I think the writer sees those as connected, right? The breakdown of the family and the rise of this tech. We can't just tell them to delete half their argument.
No, you're right. We shouldn't. The solution is to create a hierarchy of causation. You focus on the technological impact as the physiological mechanism. That's the how it's happening. And the social changes are the environmental the where it's happening.
I think I see a bridge here. There was that detail about Noam Shazir, the founder of Character.ai.
Oh, I know exactly what you're talking about. The quote.
Yeah, the quote that was genuinely horrifying.
I joke that we're not going to replace Google. We're going to replace your mom.
We're going to replace your mom. I mean, that is straight up dystopian. But think about how that connects directly to the nux in our point about single-parent household.
Yes, that's it. That's the bridge. Instead of this broad, vague blame on feminism, you link the tech-replacing parents idea from source A with the lack of parental guidance theme from source B.
It becomes a unified theory of abandonment.
Exactly. The argument becomes parents are absent, either physically or just mentally because they're glued to their own phones, and this predatory tech is stepping in to fill that void. And since tech is a terrible parent that just provides easy answers and dopamine, you get a generation that can't think.
That is so much stronger. It's not just feminism is bad, it's Silicon Valley is preying on neglected children.
And that's an argument that's very hard for anyone to dismiss, no matter their politics. It makes the two halves of the script work together.
Okay, speaking of intent, that brings us to the feature, not a bug argument. This feels like the real thesis of the whole submission.
It's the engine of the piece. The idea that this isn't an accident. The system is designed to fail.
Right. The Nuxenor claim that the government wants the kids to be retarded, their words, because they're easier to control.
It's a strong hook, but the evidence it provides gets messy really fast. It jumps to these really controversial takes on immigration, like the Somalia IQ argument, and then to teachers just being behavior managers.
That connection between, say, immigration stats and kids using AI to cheat, it's a stretch.
Not causation. And frankly, it weakens the core point. If you're arguing the system is manufacturing stupid kids, but then you blame immigrant demographics, it sounds like you're saying the problem is being imported, not created.
That's a great point. If it's imported, the system is just overwhelmed. If it's manufactured, the system is malicious, and the writer wants to prove malice.
They do. So my suggestion here is, if you want to prove malice, follow the money.
Which connects back to the Vanessa section, the line, dependency is a business model.
Yes, that's the smoking gun, not some vague political agenda. The research dossier has quotes from Sam Altman and Mark Zuckerberg. They are building tools that exploit loneliness and replace critical thought, because it translates to $20 a month for a ChatGPT subscription.
It's the subscription model of intellect.
It is. So frame the feature, not a bug idea around the tech giants extracting value from unthinking consumer, not just the government wanting sheep.
Because government wanting sheep is a conspiracy theory.
But corporations wanting customers is just an earnings call. It's capital. It grounds the whole conspiracy in something tangible and much, much harder to argue. It makes the rage feel justified because you're not angry at a shadow. You're angry at OpenAI and Google.
That's a powerful pivot. Okay, which brings us to the ending. After all this terrifying stuff, the current draft just fizzles out. It ends with, what was it? Stay weird, fam, live on kick.
Yeah, it just completely deflates the entire piece.
It feels like the writer just slapped a generic YouTuber outro on a really important warning.
And that brings us to our last critique. The idea of the class marker is by far the strongest conclusion, and it's currently just buried in the middle of the script. It needs to be the finale.
Explain that concept, because this is the so what of the whole thing.
Deep in the Vanessa section, the writer points out this incredible trend. While public schools are pushing iPads on every kid, what are the wealthy elites doing?
Banning them.
They're sending their kids to tech-free Montessori schools, to Waldorf school. The actual executives in Silicon Valley, the ones building the mom-replacing bots, are sending their own children to places where they learn to whittle and read paper books.
It's the old rule, right? Never get high on your own supply.
Exactly. And the writer just kind of mentions this and moves on. This is the ending. This is the horror story. The future isn't just a dumbed-down population, it's a cognitive caste system.
The reasoning class and the non-reasoning class.
Yes, and you restructure the ending to focus on that widening gap. The elite's children are shielded from tech, learning to focus and think deeply. The masses get the iPad kids who can't read their own handwriting and whose opinions are served to them by an algorithm.
That is a much, much better ending than stay weird.
It turns the mirror on the audience. So our advice is to take that specific contrast, the tech-free rich versus the iPad poor, and make it the final haunting paragraph. The new wealth gap isn't money, it's the basic ability to process reality.
And that ties everything together. The Vanessa point about Gen Alpha's lack of critical reason, and the Nuke Sonor point about them being slaves to the system.
It creates a knot the reader can't untie. That's a finale that leaves someone staring at the...
Which is what a piece as fiery and important should do. It should be a warning, not just catharsis for the writer.
Catharsis is for diaries. Persuasion is for publishing.
So, to recap the feedback, 3 main points for our listener.
First, and this is the big one, strip out the slurs and the rage-bait language. Let the data be the horrifying part. Be angry with precision, not just insults.
Second, synthesize the 2 arguments. Use that replacing your mom quote to bridge the tech dependency idea with the parental absence idea. Make Silicon Valley the bad parent.
And finally, fix the structure. Move that class marker argument to the very end. The division of society into thinkers and non-thinkers. That's your climax. Don't bury it.
Look, this is heavy stuff. And it's clear the writer cares about it deeply. We want to encourage you to keep working on this. Just try to balance that fire with the ice of the data.
Absolutely. There's a really powerful argument here that's just fighting itself right now. Get the 2 halves to work together, and you have something really special.
Once you've made those changes, we'd love to see it again. Please send it back in.
Good luck with it.
Thanks for listening to The Critique.